quiet North London suburb of Enfield. The year was 1977. Life on Green Street was ordinary. Children played in the streets. Neighbors chatted over hedges, and families carried on with their daily routines. But at number 284, something extraordinary and terrifying was about to unfold. The Hodgson family lived there. Peggy, a single mother, and her 4 children. Margaret, age 13, Janet, 11, Johnny, 10, and Billy, just 7. They were a normal working-class family, struggling with bills and daily life, but they were close-knit. Nothing suggested that their home would become the center of one of the most famous paranormal cases in history. It began on an August evening. Janet and Margaret complained to their mother that their beds were shaking. Peggy dismissed it at first. Children, she thought, often imagine things. But later that night, strange knocking echoed from the walls. Objects seemed to shift on their own. And then came a sound that Peggy would never forget. A heavy, scraping noise, as if a piece of furniture was being dragged across the floor upstairs. She rushed into the girl's bedroom. To her shock, a large chest of drawers was moving, slowly but steadily, away from the wall. Peggy pushed it back. It lurched forward again, resisting her strength, as if an unseen force were shoving it toward the girls. That was the moment Peggy Hodgson realized something was terribly wrong. Over the following nights, the activity intensified. Loud knocking echoed through the house, sometimes so powerful it shook the walls. Toys flew across rooms. Chairs tipped over. Family members swore they saw objects hover in the air before crashing down. Janet, the 11-year-old, seemed to be at the center of it all. Soon neighbors were called in as witnesses. One evening, Vic Nottingham, who lived nearby, entered the Hodgsons' home after Peggy begged for help. The moment he stepped inside, he heard the same violent knocking. It was coming from the walls, all around us, he later said. You couldn't make it up. I just stood there, frozen. When the police arrived, they too saw things they could not explain. A constable reported witnessing a chair slide across the floor on its own, moving several feet, as if pushed by invisible hands. In her official statement, she admitted she had no explanation for what she saw. News of the haunting spread quickly. Journalists descended on Green Street. Photographers set up cameras in hopes of capturing proof, and soon the case drew the attention of paranormal investigators. Among them were Morris Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair, members of the Society for Psychical Research. They would dedicate years to studying the Hodgson haunting, collecting recordings, photographs, and testimonies. Their arrival coincided with some of the most disturbing events. Janet began to change. She reported being thrown from her bed at night, sometimes landing in the middle of the room. Family members swore they saw her levitate, her body suspended above the mattress before crashing down. In one infamous photograph, Janet appears mid-air, arms flailing, as if an unseen force had hurled her upward. Skeptics later argued she had simply jumped, but those present insisted they had witnessed something far stranger. And then came the voice. Through Janet, a deep, gravelly voice began to speak. It claimed to be the spirit of a man named Bill Wilkins, who said he had died in the house years earlier. The voice was guttural, far beyond the range of an 11-year-old girl. Recordings were made, capturing hours of conversations. In one chilling exchange, the voice said, "Just before I died, I went blind. Then I had a hemorrhage, and I fell asleep, and I died in the chair in the corner downstairs." Later research revealed that a man named Bill Wilkins had, in fact, died in the house, reportedly of a brain hemorrhage. just as the voice described. The Hodgson family endured this nightmare for nearly 2 years. There were nights of terror when Janet was said to be possessed, her face twisted in rage, her voice unrecognizable. There were days when furniture toppled, objects disappeared, and knocks followed them from room to room. Investigators documented dozens of incidents, tapes, photographs, and testimonies. But there were always skeptics. Some accused the children of playing tricks for attention. Critics pointed out that not every event could be verified, and that some photographs looked staged. Even Maurice Grosse and Guy Playfair admitted that on occasion the children faked phenomena, but they insisted the majority of events were genuine, too violent, too bizarre, and too consistent to be explained away. Janet herself later admitted that sometimes she and her siblings exaggerated, but maintained that much of what happened was real. "You can't fake everything," she said. "Some of it was us, but not all of it. No way." By 1979, the activity began to fade. The family, exhausted and traumatized, slowly returned to normal life. But the case of the Enfield Poltergeist left behind more than 30 eyewitness testimonies, hundreds of hours of recordings, and a legacy of debate that continues to this day. For believers, the Enfield haunting remains one of the strongest cases of paranormal activity ever documented, supported not just by frightened children, but by neighbors, journalists, and even police officers. For skeptics, it is a case study in hysteria, exaggeration, and the vulnerability of people desperate for answers. As for the Hodgsons, they were never the same. Peggy Hodgson lived in the house until her death in 2003, insisting to the end that what they experienced was real. Janet, now an adult, has said she still looks back with unease. "It wasn't something we asked for," she explained. "It wasn't a game. It was something that happened to us, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone." Today, number 284 Green Street looks like any other house on the block. Its windows are ordinary, its garden unremarkable. Strangers pass by without noticing anything unusual. But behind those walls, in the late 1970s, a family lived through nights of terror that became legend. Whether it was the product of restless spirits or the fears and imaginations of children, the Enfield Poltergeist remains one of the most chilling stories ever told.